Hello friends! Welcome back to Mindfully Stitched. My name is Corley and I'm so glad you've chosen to spend a little knitting time with me today. Let's go ahead and jump right in with what I'm wearing because if you watched the last couple of podcast episodes, you will know this is also a newly finished object. This is my Rival Tee by Low Key Bold Knits, and I'm gonna pop up just a little bit so you can see the full fit. Ta-da! Super cute. So this is a pattern by Low Key Bold Knits, and I knit it using Sorella's Opalite sock yarn in the colors The Fate of Ophelia, which is the variegated part of the body, and Wish List, which is the sleeves, shoulders, collar, etc. These were two yarns from Sorella's Mystery Eras club that she did last year that I got most of each month. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Again, if you watched a couple of my other podcasts, you'll know that I wasn't thrilled by some of the things in the pattern. Most of that is fine and won't impact your ability to knit it. The main difference is that in the increases, which now I can't remember even where those increases happen. I think like along here and a little bit in the back. I didn't particularly care for the increases written in the pattern, so I changed them to a standard, make one right, make one left. Totally fine. You can knit them the way they are in the pattern and it won't really impact it much. The one thing that I will say, if you're planning to knit this pattern, when you go into it, you need to know that you start with the shoulders. You make shoulder panels here, this like ribbing, and you stop it here because it's like a saddle shoulder construction. So you stop here and then you pick up along the back, cast on, and then pick up along the other side. All of that is totally fine. When you go to pick up for your two front panels, the instructions in the pattern are incorrect. So for instance, if on this side it's telling you start from the collar and pick up towards the armhole, it's actually reversed. You need to pick up from the armhole and pick up towards the collar. If you pick up the way that it's written in the pattern, it will be inside out. So think that through when you go to do it. Since you've already picked up the back, like it doesn't really matter. You do need to start at the open end of one side of the back, work your way this way, cast on, start at the cast on end of the other panel, and then work your way towards the open side. You'll already have that picked up. You will know when you go to pick up for your front panels that like, if I had started, I think on this side, if I had started at the neck opening, it would have been wrong. Like you would be knitting on the wrong side. It's pretty hard to explain, or at least I think I'm not doing a great job of explaining it. You really only need to know if you're going to knit this pattern. Like make sure that your raw edge is going to be on the inside so you don't see your pickup stitches, which is basically do the opposite of what the pattern says. So that's my one caveat if you're going to make it. The pattern is fingering weight held double. The way the pattern is written, it tells you like this would be your main color, which you hold double for the shoulders and for the sleeves. And then you hold one strand of your main color plus one strand of a contrast color for your entire body. As you can see, I did not do that. I did one color held double for the shoulders and the sleeves, one color held double for the whole body. And then for the collar and the sleeve cuffs, they're folded over, but that's fingering weight held single. So you'd have to do some modifications if you wanted to knit this in DK because you'd have to modify the collar and the sleeve cuffs. I accidentally used one needle size too big. I knit most of this. Shoot, I can't remember what I knit the body in. I can look it up for you. And the pattern recommends a US 6. So that's pretty standard for me. I usually have to drop down one needle size to get gauge for patterns. So I used a US 5. It then tells you to use a US 1 for the collar and the cuffs because it's 1 strand of fingering weight. And I accidentally used, I can't even say accidentally, I did it knowingly. I used a US 2 for the collar because my US 1s were being used for another project. I didn't feel like taking it out. I made my own decisions. I was really worried that that was going to make the neckline too loose, and it is a little loose. It's not bad though. Like, I don't mind. I was willing to go back and reknit it if I needed to do that, and I'm not going to. I think it's completely fine as is. It lays flat. It works for me. I did use the US 1 on the cuffs of the sleeves, and it's a tighter gauge because I used a smaller needle, and it is what it is. This side is laying pretty flat. This side has a little bump. I don't care. The process of this gave me a lot of headaches. So it's a folded over collar and folded over cuffs, but it's a rolled hem. So scoot up a bit for you. It's a rolled hem. And when I bound it off, it was rolling by like 3 inches. Like, it was coming up to here. And I was so nervous that it wouldn't block out enough in blocking, but it has. It's not quite finished. You can see I've got this little end to weave in, but I've just tucked it into my shorts. I am debating if I want to add a folded over hem to it. So the way that the pattern works is you bind off, even on your sleeves, well, I guess that's the only time you're doing it. You bind off the sleeves when you're done, and then you pick up with your single strand, and my AC just kicked on, so I don't know if that's gonna be too loud. Oh, but it's warm. Okay, to not be super annoying, I'm gonna turn off the AC. Okay, it should kick off soon. So you bind off the sleeve, and then you pick up at an increase, or not an increase rate, but a pickup rate that's specified in the pattern. And you knit to double the length, you fold it over, you bind off, and you sew it down. So based on how I did it that way, I guess technically you could have just increased to the same amount of stitches, but I did it the way it's written in the pattern. And I could do that on the bottom. If I decide, so I've got the bind off edge here, I could just pick up at the same rate with this color yarn. I have enough, and I could do a folded over hem. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. So I didn't bother weaving in ends because I kind of cheat. Tell me if anybody else does this. Like, most of the time I find myself doing this at the underarm, but if you have this, rather than weaving this in, attaching new yarn and having to weave in that tail, I can just tie on my yarn. In this case, it would be to just 1 strand of this because the hem would be fingering weight single. But I can just tie on the yarn to this and knit with this. And then I have less ends to weave in because I don't have to weave this in, and I don't have to weave in the start of the new yarn. Does anybody else do that? Is there a reason that I shouldn't be? I have never had a problem with it, so that's what I do usually. Not on this one because it's a different color, but like normally I would just tie on new yarn to whatever was hanging out here and make my sleeves. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I find it more effective. So since I haven't decided, I've left this. But let me know your thoughts if you like the rolled hem. I have discovered that most people modify rolled hems. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to point out is I was nervous about this lovely blue section here where the variegated was like really concentrated and then was mostly just blue, and then when I attached new yarn it went back to mostly concentrated again, and it doesn't bother me at all. So here's the back. So I really like it. You can't really see it on camera, but it's got some like stellina in the whole thing, which is really, really nice. And I've worn it once and I'm wearing it today. It's kind of hard to wear with this sticking out. So mostly I've just been wearing it around the house. So I need to make a decision about the hem, if I'm leaving it as a rolled hem or if I'm gonna add the folded over hem. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you will help me make a decision. But that is what I'm wearing / a finished object. Let's move on to more finished objects. So the next finished object that I have, you didn't even see as a whip. A while ago, I knit some golf club covers for my husband and I hate them. He's a good sport and he's using them and he really likes them. And when I asked him if I could unravel them and knit him new ones, he said no. But they were way too big and so they don't really fit on the golf club head, and he's like binder clipped them on the inside. So like, bless him, that's really sweet that he's using them, but I hate them. And then he got a new club that he wants a golf club cover for and asked if I could knit him a new one. And long story short, I asked if I could do a different pattern and just knit him all new ones, and he begrudgingly said yes. So that is what I have cast on and finished since the last episode, and this is so much better than the other ones he has. That pattern is on my Ravelry if you wanted to check out the one that I don't like, but it's just because it's just way too wide, and then the stitch pattern wasn't going to work if I made it smaller. So this beautiful one, I didn't get the pattern name, so let me go get that. I'm a liar. I totally did get the pattern name. This is the hand knit golf club cover by the Yarny Way. And I don't remember what the like stripy pattern is in the pattern, but I just changed it so that I could use all these colors. There was a project page that I found that I loved. They did so many golf club covers and a ton of different stripy patterns. And they also modified the stitch counts a little bit to fit a hybrid club. So that's what I did for this one because that's what he was going to use this for. So I think I did about 8 inches of 2x2 ribbing, and then I don't remember how many rows each one is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rows of each color. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 rounds before I decreased. And it's a free pattern. And the Stash Down Diaries, I think, also used this pattern and used a doodle deck she made a golf club cover for her mom. It was super cute. And so you could use this as a base for so many different things, but my husband liked the idea of stripes. So I will be making 2 more of these, but I'm not in a rush to make them because he's happy with the other 2 and he's still using them. So I'm thinking maybe like birthday, he can get the other 2. We'll see. But this is the hand knit golf club cover that I started and finished since the last episode. So that's the only other finished object that I have, my rival tee and the golf club cover. But a semi-finished object, a finished piece of a project. So again, if you've seen my previous episodes, you'll know that I'm on this journey of using the Eras Club mystery yarn from Sorella that was from last year. I am working through the yarn that I bought to make garments and accessories and stuff, kind of going through and using up that yarn. And then with the leftovers, I'm making granny squares to make a granny square blanket, a Taylor Swift Eras blanket. So I finished this project, which means I could use the leftover of this yarn to get some granny squares done, which I was able to get 2 done out of the Fate of Ophelia. This one is my favorite because this one pooled more, but they're both really pretty. So I got those 2 done. And then I got this done, and it's not done. I still need 1, 2, and a little more than a half rows or sides for this to be done. And that's so frustrating. So this used up 1 skein of the fingering weight in Wishlist, with 16 grams left over, which isn't enough to make one of my granny squares. And I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I could finish this with this yarn on the 2.5 sides, but I don't think I'm gonna like the way that looks. The other option is I plan to attach them all with like a granny square join in, like, I don't know, let's say I use white. So I could fill out the remaining 2.5 sides with whatever my join is gonna be. So like if I used white, I could finish this in white and then it would just be like extra border between. Or I have one more skein of this. And the idea of caking that up to just do 2.5 sides seems absolutely ridiculous to me, but I could come up with a 1 skein project to use and then use the leftovers of that to finish off this square. So this square is just gonna hang out unfinished for a while until I decide what I'm doing with that extra skein of wish list. Chances are I'll end up deciding to make, I don't know if I'll make socks out of it, but I'll make some sort of accessory or use it as color work in something and then use the leftovers to do this. Since this is a super long-term project anyway, I'm not in a rush to finish this, but I'm really upset. It would have been perfect if I could have finished this square. I don't know. If you want to leave me some thoughts on this, let me know that as well. So give me your opinions on the rolled hem versus a folded over hem on this top, and give me your opinions about this unfinished granny square. So with that is the end of today's finished objects. Let's talk about some works in progress. I don't actually have that many works in progress to show you today, but the first thing that I do have to show you is my Stromboli. This Stromboli is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, and dun, 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 dun. Isn't it beautiful? So the last time I talked about it, I was right here where this little progress keeper is, and it's a bottom up pattern. So I was right here. Let me actually count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was 6 repeats of the lace pattern up. So you like start with the ribbing, then you start the lace pattern, and then it tells you to do a certain amount of repeats before you split. So I was still in the round. I hadn't split for the front and back yet. So since then, I finished up knitting in the round. I split and did the entire back panel. Then I went back to the front, did the front, did some cast offs for the neckline and all of that. And I did the collar, and I've knit 1 sleeve. So I have 1 more sleeve to do. And this is what I was telling you. You guys, I've got this extra yarn here at the bottom of the sleeve and the underarm. I didn't on this side because when I cast off, it was over here. I'm just gonna use this. I'm gonna tie on my ball of yarn to this, and I'm gonna pick up and knit. Please tell me I'm not the only one who does that. I don't know. I don't know why I care. But I'm so excited now that it looks like a t-shirt. I can't wait for this to be done. So I am knitting this using US 3 for the body, and then I dropped down to US 2 for the ribbing. I forgot to start with US 2 on the bottom ribbing, so the bottom ribbing was done in a US 3. I think I'm okay with it. I did mention last time that I could always rip this out and then knit ribbing down, but I think it's gonna be totally fine, and I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm knitting the smallest size in the pattern, and this is using Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway Soft Mint. And no modifications except that I'm doing the sleeve a little bit shorter. It tells you to do 5 repeats of the lace pattern for the sleeve, and I did 1, 2, like 3.5. Not even 3.5, 3, and then I think like 2 or 3 rows. And then just went into the ribbing. This will grow a ton in blocking. Like right now it would fit me with 0 or maybe negative ease, and this lace is just gonna stretch significantly. So I'm very, very excited. My husband and I are going on our honeymoon in August, and we're going to Italy, and I cannot wait to wear this. With just one sleeve left to do, this is definitely getting finished. I did this sleeve this morning, so it doesn't take long. So this will, I hope, be a finished object in the next podcast, because there's really not much left to be done. So I'll knit that second sleeve, and then I will block it, and then we'll see what it looks like. I'm so excited. I've wanted to knit this for a very long time, and I'm glad that I finally got around to doing it. And then my only other work in progress is my broken seed stitch socks. Do you say are my socks, right? I don't know. Anyway, the next thing I'm working on, so this is sock number 1 of my broken seed stitch socks. And this is also using Sewrella yarn, but this is in her nylon sock base using, I didn't write it down, but normally I just remember. Okay, I remember now. Death by 1,000 Cuts and Daylight. These 2 yarns. And that's what the stitch pattern looks like. Oh, sorry. I was like, what is that weird seam? That's where I couldn't really figure out. I'm having a hard time with the join. Like, every row you're just using one color every row, so it's basically stripes but in a stitch pattern, and so there's like a weird line where the row starts. But they're super cute. They're like quarter length socks, and I think the last time I had either just finished the gusset decreases or I was getting close to finishing the gusset decreases, but now I'm past that and I'm well into the foot now on my first sock. This one I really only work on when I'm on the subway, which is not very often, and I can usually get in 3 to 5 rounds depending on the trains. So a long-term on-the-go project, but this is an exciting one to have going. Kind of annoying that I have to carry both of these around because they're both attached to the sock at all time. And I guess I could have broken it up into like 50-gram cakes instead of 100-gram cakes, but I know that the sock won't use 50 grams of each, and I didn't want to have even smaller leftovers. So this is fine. They fit in my little zipper pouch that I've been using. It fits in my mini backpack. So like these fit pretty nicely in there, and the sock does fit right on top. So those will get done whenever they get done. I do plan to participate in, well, I guess this just brings me to future plans. So let's officially make this the segment for future plans. So I am part of Nitty Natty's membership, Love and Stitches membership. And you don't need to be a member of that for this next part, but she is running Sock Week in July. It starts July 12th. And basically it's 1 week to knit a sock, an adult-sized sock. I do believe it has to be fingering weight as well. And so I do plan to participate in Sock Week this year. It'll be my first time participating. And my goal for that, I think, is to work on socks when I'm at home. Normally I don't. Normally I'm working on garments when I'm sitting at home, but maybe I could finish this and knit like the second sock. So I don't know if I'll finish this first sock before sock week happens, but that would be ideal. And then in the week of actual sock week, the one sock that I plan to knit will be the other broken seed stitch sock. So that's coming up soon. That starts July 12th. If you're interested, you can check out her YouTube channel. Again, you don't have to be a member of her Love and Stitches membership to participate. I think she is going to have some events throughout the week, but if you want to be part of the events, you have to do a sock week membership. I don't know how that works. She hasn't like released it, but as of when I'm recording this video, I don't have any details about like how you sign up for the membership part of it to be able to participate in the events, but that is an option. So you can check out her YouTube channel to figure all of that out. And that's it in terms of any concrete plans. My birthday is Friday, and I was toying with the idea of doing a birthday cast on, but I don't know what I want to cast on. So I don't know if I'll do that or not. The last couple episodes I've talked about casting on a twisted T. So I will potentially be doing that soon. I'm not sure. Really, I'm just excited to get my Stromboli done. So I'm gonna get that sleeve of the Stromboli finished, and then I will decide what I want to do. If there's a birthday cast on, I don't know, that feels like a lot of pressure. It feels like I have to pick a really, really good pattern and like something that I'm in love with already. And I don't know that I'm up for that. So we may skip the idea of a birthday cast on and just cast something on. We'll see. So that's it in terms of future plans. Well, this is sort of a future plan. So I keep saying this. If you've seen my previous episodes, I am doing Sorella Yarn's next mystery club. So this year she's doing a Knitflix mystery club, and every month is based on a movie or TV show, and it's mystery yarn. She's releasing one variegated and one tonal yarn each month based on a movie. And the first month was The Notebook, and I got that yarn. So I haven't actually done anything with it yet except cake it up. So my plan for that is each month I'm going to get the tonal and the variegated, and I'm going to be knitting a different granny square blanket. So I've got my Era's Taylor Swift mystery blanket, and then I'll have this Knitflix mystery blanket. And the idea is I'm going to crochet the squares while my husband and I watch whatever the movie is that the yarn is based on. And I'm going to be using a combination of the Yorkshire blanket and the Battenberg blanket. So the variegated squares will be the Battenberg pattern because it's just a solid square. And then the tonals will be the Yorkshire blanket because those have various stitch patterns. And I think that that will just work better. The variegated yarn will shine more on plain squares, and you'll be able to see the cool stitch patterns of the Yorkshire blanket if I use the tonal yarn. So smoothly transitioning, I'm going to show you the yarn from the notebook because that came in, but we are officially transitioning to acquisitions. So I caked them up already, so you don't get to see them in their beautiful hanked version, but maybe I'll throw a picture here. Sorella always takes really nice pictures of her hanks. So, here they are. The variegated one is the notebook. I think the colors are looking a little muddy on the camera, but actually they look very similar to this. They're not similar to my top at all. hopefully the picture will do it more justice. So this is the notebook, and this is I'll Be Seeing You, this beautiful like powdery blue color. So this will be 2 Battenberg squares, this will be 2 Yorkshire blanket squares, and I will likely have yarn left over, but I'm not really sure how much yet. So we will see. We clearly have not watched the notebook yet. That's gonna be coming up soon. And then I also have ordered her next month, which is Devil Wears Prada. So again, I got 1 variegated and 1 tonal of that movie, and I'm very excited to see what that is going to look like. So those were the 2 yarns based on the notebook. Then I also had some other yarn come in from Sorella. I love her yarn. I have not seen her do something that I don't like yet. So when she was done with the Mystery Eras Club, she was done. She had done all 12 months that she wanted to do. She did a pre-order for the entire collection. And there was 1 month that I had accidentally missed buying, so I wanted to get the yarn for that. And I also got 2 sock sets. So here they all are. I will take it out of the bag. Okay, so the 1 month that I had missed and wanted to make sure I got the yarn for was Hits Different and Midnights. And I'm obsessed with this. It's beautiful. And the labels on these are so cute. These like custom Eras Club ones. The ones from the Mystery Club didn't have these pretty labels. They were her regularly pretty labels. But I got 2 skeins of the variegated and 1 of the tonal. I don't know what I'll make with them yet, but that's what I have. And then I also got the Teardrops on My Guitar sock set, which these are the colors that I plan to make my twisted tee out of also. So I actually already have one of these caked up to start that t-shirt, but I loved the colors and thought I would want the sock set. And then I also got the Invisible String sock set. Really, really pretty. Unfortunately, you can't get those yarns anymore because the pre-order for that is done. Oh, and the last acquisition is not yarn, but it is from Sorella. And this is, I'm opening it for the first time. So as part of her Eras mystery pre-order, although it wasn't a mystery anymore by that point, she had tote bags. And I believe if you had ordered from her mystery club, she emailed us all a discount code to get a tote bag for free. And ta-da! Isn't it so cute? It says, "In my crafting era," with a friendship bracelet motif on it. I think it's so cute. I simultaneously feel like I have too many tote bags and you can't have enough. So I don't really know what that's about, but I really wanted one. So that is super cute, and I might be good for grocery shopping, could be good for holding projects, could be good for all sorts of things. And I believe that brings me to the end of my acquisitions, which brings me to the end of today's episode. So don't forget to chime in with your thoughts on the rolled hem. Let me know what you think. Do you like a rolled hem, or would you prefer a folded over hem? I'm undecided, so we'll see. And let me know about this square, because that's another thing I just don't know what I'm gonna do. I feel like it makes the most sense to wait until I've used up some of the other skein that I have. And if that's the case, give me some good one skein projects that will give me just enough left over that I can finish off this square. So not like a full one skein. I'm not looking to do a muscle burra hat, but some one skein that will use like, I mean, honestly, it could use 90 grams of 100 gram skein. So, oh yeah, who knows? We'll see We'll see what happens, but throw some pattern ideas in the comments. Thank you all so much for choosing to spend a little bit of knitting time with me today. Let me know in the comments what's on your needles right now. Throw some inspiration my way, and I hope that I was able to provide a little inspiration for you as well. Take care, and until next time, happy knitting.